In the 19th century, scientists used to throw around this word, ether, also called luminiferous ether. At the time, it was considered the universal substance that acts as the medium for transmission of electromagnetic waves, much like sound waves are transmitted through the medium called air. The ether was assumed to be weightless, transparent, frictionless, and undetectable, both chemically and physically, and yet they concluded that it permeates all matter and space. I wonder why. These scientists set out to conduct an experiment in 1887 which became known as the Michelson-Morley experiment, which was designed specifically to detect the motion of Earth through the ether. Now, any sane individual could have told these two that they did not need to conduct an experiment on something that was already undetectable by their primitive mechanical means of observation. Now, if you can't detect something, then you don't know where it is. And if you don't know where it is, then you don't know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, then that's where the experiment should have stopped. Welcome to Back to the Basics, where you learn facts, hope you embrace it. Watch, like, share, bring in awareness. Watch, like, share, bring in awareness. I'm fearless. Welcome to Back to the Basics, where you learn facts, hope you embrace it. Watch, like, share, bring in awareness. Watch, like, share, bring in. So, what was the purpose of this experiment? Well, to transform physics and get rid of the ether concept that was propagated by esteemed physicists like Nikola Tesla, who at the time was in complete opposition with physicists like Albert Einstein, who introduced to the world the special theory of relativity in 1905, a concept that was more acceptable by the general consensus of scientists at the time. So, the ether concept was abandoned, as well as anyone who agreed with its existence, and thus deemed unnecessary by brand new assumptions that the speed of light is a universal constant, which, by the way, is not true. For as light moves from one medium to another medium, the speed or wavelength of the light is changed. For example, when light enters a dense medium, like from air to glass, the speed of light decreases while the frequency stays the same. Speed and frequency are two different things. The speed of light is how fast light travels at a certain distance, and the frequency of light has to do with the cycle per set amount of time. It is more than clear that modern scientists are utterly lost when it comes to the ether. However, to continue to position themselves as the intellectual authority in this field that they know nothing about, in recent time they have repackaged the ether concept and now call it dark matter, which merely means invisible matter that permeates the universe, that is still undetectable to them. As a student of the ancient masters of the universe who left records to their children that predate modern science, we are truly in the know. And the truth is, everything seen and unseen is watered with the life force of the ether. The word ether etymologically means upper pure region of space, from the Latin word aether, from aetheian, meaning to burn or shine like the sun. Ether is living energy in its most subtle and refined state that consists of both life and mind. It is not blind energy that scientists subscribe to. Ether is of an extreme thinness and elasticity and pervades universal space, serving as the medium of transmission of waves of vibratory energy such as heat, light, electricity, magnets, etc. It is the connecting link between the form of vibratory energies we call matter on one hand and energy or force on the other. And it also manifests a degree of vibration in rates and modes entirely of its own. This etheric living energy is also what influences all people both mentally and physically. It is everywhere in all forms. In the darkness of the universe, it is the seed that have blossomed into all that we marvel at in the observable world. Your life is made up of an infinite number of etheric forms or expressions from the immaterial world to the material world. Scientists speculatively try to find and understand these forms, yet ignore the ether merely because they cannot see it. But what can scientists really see in the observable universe? Can they see air? Can they see the wind? Can they see wavelengths or fields of energy? How about distant universes? No, they cannot. They use machines for that. Scientists cannot see anything. In fact, the natural state of a scientist is ignorance, for they live in the boundaries between what is known and unknown in the universe. Did you know to a scientist that the lowest form of evidence is eyewitness testimony? Which is scary because this confirms that they know nothing and talk so much about everything, yet are merely spectators viewing information from a computer screen. There are actual titles in the scientific field like Director of the Digital Universe. What that means is most of the pictures that you see of space and galaxies are merely digital expressions, not reality, yet you believe it. The ether is revolutionary and almost inaccessible to humans. However, it is the real invisible, dark matter in their terminology. It is everywhere in space and in the atmosphere. What is considered empty space is only a manifestation of matter that is vibrating so fast that the average human's eye cannot perceive it. So, there's really no such thing as empty space on Earth, nor in the universe. First there was ether, then came matter. The matter was created from the original eternal vibratory living energy called ether, the unseen, the incalculable, that manifests itself by way of vibration into something you can calculate, like light, which gave you the power to see in darkness. Matter is merely an expression of infinite forms emanating from the ether. You must begin to realize that darkness is the true nature of light, because in truth there is no light. Light is defined by wavelength, which is the measure of the distance from the top of a wave of energy to another. The incomprehensible non-etheric beings in the darkness transform ether into what we call light. And the solid form of light is melanin, which is full spectrum light in the physical state, which manifests as blackness. The true force of the universe that personifies supreme beings, the original melaninites, who grew all the universes, utilizing the force that yield or birth energy, versing energy into one form that you now know as the universe. The reason humans cannot see ether is because the average human's mind is limited to 3 dimensions. The average human's eyes is limited to only the visible color spectrum. The average human ear is limited to only a certain frequency range, and therefore you cannot conceive or mathematically measure your own source in this weak form. And there is no machine to calculate its presence. Yet, it is present in each and every one of you. Ether has no beginning nor end. If it were not to exist, you would not exist, and thus creation is eternal with infinite cycles. The Etherians who grew the boundless universes are under no obligation to make sense to your 5 senses. I'm Kef Ray, and this is Back to the Basic. Like, share, and subscribe. Facts we stated. You wanna know something? Go back to basics. Most saw trapping was called the Matrix. The world frivolized, yet it's hard to face it. So I spread truth, hope you